I would not want to be Elon Musk, right? The dude has done incredible. He's got more money than anyone else in the world, but his home life's not great. He doesn't I don't know if he sees any of his kids. He's not, all those things. And it's like, I'd want to be with somebody that's done a lot of it, pretty well.
Welcome to the Kash and Dash Show, episode 320 with Dalton Daeges.
Okay, so I have to start this off with, I was gathering some intel on your background.
This is good.
With some questions I wanted to ask you. So I hit up one of your partners.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, do you have any funny or embarrassing stories about Dalton that we need to ask about on the podcast?
Oh, good.
So I'm scrolling through a list right now of his responses.
Oh, wow. Great.
So I'm going to lead off with the first one. This
Okay,
is not
let's go.
embarrassing. We'll lead up to the embarrassing ones.
Nice.
But okay, so you have one of your businesses, and that we'll definitely spend some time talking about. It's called Beard Bros Build Company.
That's correct.
How did you get that name? Besides the obvious reason of you both having beards, who gave you the idea?
So Neil and I were actually my business partner Neil and I were sitting at a bank in town after we had kind of done a few flips. We're like, we should probably make this somewhat official and get a business and open a bank account. And we're sitting there and the gal was like, well, what's the name of the business going to be? And we're like, you
had never talked about it.
Yeah, we had no idea. And then she actually spit out the name, like Beard Brothers or Beard Bros. And then, the banker gave us our business name. And then we ran with it. It's been the same ever since.
Do you feel like you can never shave your beard off now?
100%.
Yeah.
That plus the butt chin. So, yeah. Those two reasons.
Superman has a butt chin, okay?
Exactly,
so
yeah.
Henry Cavill rocks it very well. But now... yeah, that was one of my questions because we had Beardy Brandon on from Bigger Pockets. We've had him on the show a couple of times, and that was one that we asked him because he actually has a coffee brand called, what was it? Beardy Coffee or something like that.
Yeah. Bearded Blend or something like that.
Yeah. That's what it is. Something close to that. And I was like, what if you don't want to do that anymore? Or what if your wife is like, look, man, it's been a good run with that beard, but time for it to go.
I've known my wife for 7 or 8 years now, and she's never seen me without a beard.
His is also this long.
That is true.
Easy top
right.
That's a different game.
But it is one of those things where it's like if you start hiring people and they don't have beards, or maybe they grow those gross wispy ones, you send them out on an appointment. I mean, isn't the customer going to be kind of like, I don't know that you're really on brand here, man.
Yeah. We'll get him a fake one.
Okay, so Beard Bros. Now, Neil Gallus was a former guest on our podcast, and he did a phenomenal job. We all love Neil, and he's done a great job for us. I had heard about, obviously, your company, and because I believe I had competed with you on some deals in the past. So I knew who you were before probably you knew who I was.
It means you've been in it for a little bit then.
We've been in it for a little bit, yeah.
But this, until recently, wasn't really kind of your full-time thing, right? You've been doing this on the side as kind of a wealth building business.
Yeah.
Maybe talk about that. When you were first discovering real estate, what was life like for Dalton?
Yeah. So, man, I wish I was one of these kids these days that had ChatGPT and all of the AI, but very distinctly, I had a buddy of mine that I looked up to a lot. He was a local Bellevue kid. And he was just crushing it. And I worked for him. Under him, he was running a golf course, which is super random. I worked there in high school. And then I kind of looked up to him. And I got into my freshman year, sophomore year of college. And he had actually moved out to California, was absolutely crushing it. He may actually know Brandon as well because he lives out in Maui. But he told me one time I ran into him. He was in town, and I was like, "Hey, what have you been up to lately?" And he's like, I've been reading books. I'm in college. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why are you reading books?
You're like, yeah, me too.
Yeah,
English
sure.
Lit. It sucks.
Yeah. And he shared with me Audible, and I don't know what it was, but he shared with me that. And at that point, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should try to educate myself here. And the first book I read was actually Capital Gains, which is Chip and Joanna Gaines's book.
Oh yeah.
And or Chip's book, I guess. But in that book, he was in college and he's hustling all these side hustles. And it's not something that had really ever crossed my mind a whole lot, you know? And so I started reading, and that led me into getting into flipping trucks in college. And I started a business in college where I did
flipping trucks.
Yeah, not literally, but diesel pickups. I found a really great niche market where I could find a deal, fix it up a little bit, sell it for more.
Flipping boats has been coming up a lot lately.
Is it really?
Yeah. So I always love it when people are flipping other things. I
Yeah.
like to hear about it.
Yeah. I've heard couches,
Furniture, boats.
Yeah.
Yep.
I flipped a couple cars. I flipped a Saline Mustang a year or two ago, and I flipped an old Camaro not too long ago, like a few years before that.
Nice.
And that was really fun.
Well, the fun thing is you get to drive them for a little bit.
Yeah, I drive them for the summer.
Yeah, and then you sell them. Yeah. So it worked great. I had a truck to drive, and then I paid for my college, So I started with that, and then I owned a little like mosquito and defense pesticide company.
Oh,
Went
okay.
out, got some customers.
So there's Mosquito Squad, which is like we actually use them.
Yeah.
So we get sprayed every week or so, the
Yep.
yard.
I did
is that the same
before
thing?
Mosquito Squad came, and the last year I was doing it, Mosquito Squad hit the market.
Oh,
in
man.
town. But that's okay.
You could have sold to them.
Maybe. My customer list wasn't real big. It was like great college money, but
Yeah.
not like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that all kind of started, and I got really involved in Bigger Pockets. So coming out of college, I knew that I wanted to get into real estate.
What year is this?
Oh, I was 18, 19, and I'm 30 now. So 10, 11 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I knew that I wanted to get into it. I didn't exactly know how, but I also knew I needed to make and have some money. So I got into medical staffing as a recruiter because it was a job that paid me for my effort, not my time. And did well in that pretty quickly. But within the first 6 months, I met my wife at work, which is totally what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're supposed to do that. The receptionist is who you should marry.
We've all worked on The Office.
We've all met a woman or a man at work.
Pam and Jim got married is all I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it worked out. So I met her, and she actually had introduced me to Neil. And so Neil was my agent for my first house. And I still own that house as a rental today. So I bought it. It was wrecked. And it was a for sale by owner. I realized the guy wholesaled it before I knew really what wholesaling was. We made way more money than I did. Mm-hmm. But it was like 2018, 2019-ish time frame when that was happening. And so there were some awesome loan products out there. And I was able to...
And awesome wholesalers.
Yeah, true. And I picked it up on an 80-20 loan with Veridian. So they did like the first and the second. So I didn't have to put any cash down. So I could use the little cash I had to go fix it up. And I would go to work. And then after work, I would work till 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I had some like construction experience, but a lot of YouTube and a lot of just figuring it out.
And you were single still.
I was dating, but I wasn't married.
That's totally different with your time.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Totally different. Totally different lifestyle. So it was great. And so I fixed that up. Then I refinanced it.
Sorry, was this a primary residence for you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was kind of like a house hack kind of thought.
Yes.
But they had 100% HELOC at the time with Veridian. Mm-hmm. And so I did that, got all my capital out. And throughout that process, working with Neil, I knew that hey, he's kind of a guy I should work with. He was doing some flips at the time. He had, some stuff going, kind of seemed like he knew what he was doing. I didn't. And so I went out and I actually found one of my coworkers that had a house they wanted to sell. And I was like, you know what? I got to flip. So I went and walked it. And I called Neil and I was like, hey, man, I've got a flip and I've got some money because I had my HELOC. And I'm like, let's do something here. You want to partner? And I think that's kind of like one of the big things, they talked about that on Bigger Pockets a lot. Like, how do you go find somebody that is willing to invest their time in you? And I think a lot of times people approach it where they're like, oh, well, let me just see if somebody's going to willingly give me all of their time, and they come unprepared and those types of things. So I was trying to really not do that.
Yes.
I didn't want to just show up to some guy and be like, hey, I've done no research. I've done no investing of, my time, energy or anything, but I want to steal yours.
This is so weird that you're bringing this up unprompted, because we just got done with the RIA lunch, and Ted and I did right before this. And I had this exact conversation with a guy.
Oh, really?
That came over to me, and he was just getting involved in real estate. He wanted a mentor. We all kind of stood up and introduced ourselves, and he came over to me and he's like, he started asking me a lot of questions. And I said, it was more around like, how does he learn? And I was giving him some tips on how to not approach people that you want to learn something from. And I was like, don't say pick your brain, first of all. Mm-hmm. And then second, go with a plan of what exactly you want out of the meeting so that you can give that to them ahead of time, so that you're not just being like, hey, teach me your ways.
Yeah. Give me all the answers.
Yeah.
Easy.
So that obviously worked. But what other, when you had that first, your first meeting with Neil was more on the transactional side as an end user. What happened then?
Well, so I knew that I would like to, and so I just kind of kept a relationship going. And then I think he needed help moving or something. I'm like, yeah, man, I'll come help you move. Just trying to be helpful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Neil taking advantage.
Right?
But also Neil was like probably what, 24?
Yeah, so he wasn't much older than me. I think Neil's only like 2 or 3 years older than
I
me.
mean, because at that time
We were kind of just buddies.
Pre-25, you ask everybody to help you move.
True.
And everybody usually says yes.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, the pizza.
And I had a
case of
truck,
beer.
you know. Yeah, I had one of those diesel trucks. Yeah. And so I did that, and then I brought him the deal, and I was like, hey, man, let's do this. And it went well. And that was an instance where, you know, we figured out a lot. I did a lot of the work myself, so that still, you know, I'd get off of work and go work, you know, and it worked out well. Most of that house I did myself. I think we hired out painting.
Okay.
And maybe carpet.
Yep.
And I think everything else we did ourselves.
So was he the money and you were the muscle at the time?
So I did a lot of the rehab. We split the renovation cost, and then we actually went and like raised private hard money. At the time was 18% and 2 points.
Yeah.
So that hurt. But I didn't have like a track record. So to get somebody interested, you had to give up a lot. And it was like just as the market was kind of starting to go pretty decent, and it was like a nice part of like Millard. And so, you know, the house went well. It went over. We went over budget. I was surprised. Yeah, first one. But yeah, Neil was the realtor. He kind of like just helped me feel a lot of that first one is like lack of confidence. Once you've done it a bunch, it's you know what it's going to sell for. You know all those things. I was just like, this is a big risk. You know, and it felt scary. And so he had done it. He felt confident about the comps. He was the agent. He at one point he helped me with some of the rehab stuff too. It wasn't like it was all me, you know, we were hanging lights.
He's like, okay, let me know when we're done.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like that. Yeah. So, and I just also didn't even like know what to fix or like, you know, what things you do and don't do. So
that's how I hoped my partnership went with the contractor I partnered with.
Yeah. Now, one note I made here, and you and I talked about this a little bit beforehand, but you guys had met at a property or properties at like 4 a.m. Before it got listed for sale to hang ceiling fans and kind of do your last punch list, walk through stuff.
Yep.
So that is a good, I mean, that's a great tip because, you know, like we were talking about before, a lot of people that want to get involved in real estate, they're like, I don't have time. And you make time, right? Yeah. And your time available was 4 a.m. Could you have slept in another couple hours? Yeah, that probably would have felt pretty good at the time,
right?
But not later.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you're doing yourself in the future a favor by sacrificing today.
Yeah.
Right. What other things did you guys do in the infancy of your partnership that made it work? And you guys have stood the test of time because how long has it been now? It's been
6-7 years.
Yeah.
You know, that was an example. I actually distinctly remember one time we were staying outside of a house. It was 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. We're putting mulch down, and we like looked at each other. We're like, there's like that. How fun is this? Even though it sucks, kind of mentality.
I can't believe we get to do this.
Yeah. It's like, dude, this sucks, but like, we're doing it, and there's some pride in that. You know, like, hey, we're doing this. Not everybody's going to. And so that was fun. You know, the big thing though is for me, there's been so many instances throughout this journey of flipping houses where, you know, it'll be early spring and you've got a few houses and no money. And we're both just like,
you're waiting for the closing.
Yeah, waiting for some things to sell. And like, there's something about having somebody in the boat with you when you're like, dude, we go too much longer. Like, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. You know, it's like, there's a few times where it gets tighter. Like, we're like, why do we keep doing this to ourselves?
It's like us doing a mastery event.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny because we feel like we end up there often, although like your reserve number gets a lot bigger. But like how many times even, you know, over the last couple of years where we're like, man, it's really tight right now, you know, but it has paid off very well. So I would say just like knowing that we're both in the boat together. And there's been instances where, you know, Neil had some big life events going on and I had to have more capital and more time into it. And then there's other times where like I didn't have the capital, but Neil did. It's never been like we had this strict, like everything is a 50-50, 100% in terms of inputs, but output has always been. And because of that, I think we're both confident that
I like that.
You have somebody that will like got your back. And that's where it's like,
that's a really good way to put that.
That's a partner.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, to put it in golf terms, are you a golfer?
You dabble? I've been trying to get into it more. Yeah.
It's a commitment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I don't have time. Yeah.
That's another thing more time. Yeah.
But, so I'm in a golf league with a partner. It's 2-man scramble. Right. And he's a really good friend of mine. And, there's a thing called ham and egging it. Okay. So like one of you doesn't have it, the other one does, and you kind of like alternate decent shots and you just kind of make it work. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's ham and egging it. So it kind of sounds like that's what a successful partnership is, because you're never operating with exactly the same set of money, time available, motivation. Like there's ebbs and flows. It's life, right? It's life and business, and you got to have somebody step up when the other person needs help.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've witnessed other people, do similar things, and it seems like there's always just the one person.
Yep.
And that just never works, right? So you have to be committed to being the opposite when needed as well, and that's where that's why I feel like our relationship has worked really well.
When you guys decided to do this, you did the first deal, it went well, you decided to make a business out of it, you discovered that you had kind of some shared trauma, which brings you closer with the things that suck in real estate, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of form you form more of a bond as you go along, and the more iterations that you've been through. But like, what other things have happened along the way where you maybe had an aha moment, or you both figured out, hey, we need to maybe pivot and look at some other things. Maybe that's buying rental properties together, because that's a whole other level of commitment, right? Anything like that happen that you can think of?
I mean, I would say, we got started in like 2019.
Yep.
So market was pretty good. Then 2020 happened. It was like really scary for like a month, and then money was just falling from the sky.
Yes.
And we felt like we were just God's gift to earth. And then 23 rolled around, and we had kind of like, we bought like a few really nice, like high end couple-year-old properties, and that we were going to flip, tighter margin, but those had been working for us.
Yes.
And it's like, you just really couldn't not do it right. So very blessed in that way. But that pivot, we lost money on a couple deals, and it's like, oh man, okay, well, we need to be doing these cheaper, better, faster, whatever it is. And so what we have done over the last, year and a half, 2 years, is we've kind of just doubled down on making sure we're consistent with our marketing. It's very easy to like, oh man, money's tight, let's quit marketing, or like, those types of things. We've just tried to be very consistent.
Owen preaches that.
And he's, it's so true. And then we were always, this might sound not like super great, but we were always like too transparent with our purchases. We're like, hey, we got to make this. This is the rehab budget. This is the ARV. And then we just didn't give ourselves enough room, because we didn't count for those unexpected can of worms that you open up.
Yep.
And so we've tried to just do a better job buying at a better, discount. And then lastly is like, we just had to get more pushy with, maybe not pushy, but we had to find crews that needed our work, more, but they are awesome. We're happy with them. We built better relationships. They go more smoothly. We have less hiccups. And so one of the big things I was actually just telling, another guy in town about this, is we've seen some success with, I've got a crew. They're amazing. They do great work. They bid probably a little too low sometimes, but it's just because they don't know how. And so what we've done is, it's just like every time we finish a project and I feel like they did a really good job, we just give them an extra bonus, but we haven't like told them what the bonus is for.
Yes.
So there's no like expectation. There's no like, disappointment if I can't on one or something like that, but we've just kind of just given them extra money.
Yep.
And they appreciate the heck out of it. I feel good about it, and it just kind of makes a win for everybody. So that's gone really well. And I would say that's kind of one of our big secrets.
We always said that after your third deal with a contractor, that they tend to go to shit.
They go downhill.
Okay.
100%.
So do you feel giving them those cash bonuses has changed that? Or are you still seeing that there's a fall off after so many deals?
So this one, they're on like 4 or 5 for us, and I'm hopeful that it will continue to be good. But I think you're spot on. That's something I'd never really put together. Like after the third one, their price starts to inch up pretty heavy, or like they just don't care as much, and they like mess up because they think they can get away with it.
Because there's somebody at the RIA today, and and they've done good work and they got good pitch, and I was like, I wonder if they do the third or fourth build, if the numbers change or their quality changes, or maybe they just run off with your cash.
Yeah. Could.
It's all you hear in the news.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm really thankful. I think that some of it is like, we've been lucky to be kind of like their primary source of income for a few of our crews. And so that helps, but it also is like a little bit of a burden of responsibility, because like now I need to,
you have to buy something.
You feel like you kind of have to buy something because you want to keep them happy, but you also like know you're kind of feeding their family. And so like you have to do it.
I've been through that so many times over the years with different crews where you kind of get into a project and then it goes well. And then you're like, oh, I'll use you on I have one right after this. And they're like, sweet. Cause I think, and I've never been on the contractor side where I'm relying on a pay, to get paid at the end of it. I know that's a huge deal for contractors. Cause like, I got really tired of it's Friday and then all of a sudden your phone starts ringing. They have to pay their guys because they pay them every Friday. And so they're hunting you down. It's like, can we just not do this? I will trust me. I will pay you.
Yeah.
But I think, you're spot on with that, in that their livelihood is dependent on where their paycheck is coming from. And they've probably been burned in the past by people that said, hey, don't worry about it. I'm going to keep you busy for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're not communicating with them, and you have maybe 6 weeks then between your next job. And then they're like, I got to keep these guys busy, or they're going to go off to another job with somebody that can pay them. Right. And so there is that push and pull with it. So it's a delicate balance you walk when you don't have somebody actually employed by you. They're more of a 1099 relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great. Now, I want to weave in a kind of a funny anecdote that Neil gave me.
Okay. All right.
Let's talk for a second about cross-dressing contractors.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Tell the story.
Didn't we have a section for this back in the day when we first started the podcast about
cross-dressing contractors?
No,
I don't think
on
so.
Craigslist or something?
No, we had like crazy stories.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hired first time I met this guy, seemed great. You know, he had some history of, I think he was, he had been out of jail for a little bit, but he seemed great, very well put together. His numbers were awesome. He was going to do great work, and like he had kind of done some small stuff, and so I felt good about it. And so we brought him on to do a whole project for us, and project kicked off great. He kind of knew what he wanted. I went in there, some work's done very fast. I'm feeling good about it, and then I show up one day, and he has a skirt on, and
on the job site.
On the job site. Well, it's also turns out was his house.
It was hot that day. Okay? Like. It's a real thing.
It's a kilt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it was definitely a skirt. And then I go down into the basement, and he's got a mattress down there with like clothes everywhere. And I didn't even know what to say, so I just didn't say anything.
You're like, how quickly can I get out of here?
Well, that was exactly.
And never talk about this again.
Yeah, my wife's in the truck and my kid's in the car, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta go. So we tried to struggle through it. And then I got there one day, and there's a meth pipe out, and I'm like, all right, well, I know where this is going. So we had to let him go.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. We didn't let him go. He got put in jail.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're mid-project. That's exactly
the decision was made for
you. This decision was made for us. I was hoping we could kind of just like rough it through and then just like never talk again, No, that wasn't an option.
It's kind of like a rough one-night stand.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll just get through this.
Pretend like this didn't happen. Yeah. No, that's not how it went. So he got put in jail one night, and so I had to get this project done, and that's when I think I found the meth pipe. Now that I'm recalling correctly, and so I brought this guy in. This guy was like, it's a family member of mine who like doesn't do this a lot, but I was like, dude, I need you to just kind of bail me out here. And he's a pretty capable guy, and he's like, yeah, man, I'll come like bail you out of this project. It was like a bunch of like mostly done projects, so getting a contractor to come do it. Anyway, he shows up there, and then like hours later, I just start getting a string of pictures sent to me.
Pictures?
Okay. Yeah, of items he's finding in the house.
Okay.
And the items were all bought at...
This is PG-13, by the way, so you got some latitude here.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, all sorts of anal beads and just wild.
Wow.
Wild. And the craziest thing that he sent me a picture of, I've never shared this publicly, was you guys know what a sawzall is?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, like blade
I don't
cuts.
know if Ted does.
Ted, sawzall?
Yeah, totally.
Got it. He's a car guy. And there was a dildo.
I have a sawzall.
Okay.
Hopefully you don't have one like this. There was a dildo shoved through the blade of the sawzall. It got sent to us. Yeah. So my poor family member that's helping me out of this project is like, dude, what on earth did you have going on here? And yeah. So that was our craziest contractor experience.
I had this. This is not one-upping you. Yours is much better. But I bought a foreclosure one time, and there was a mag light, a full-size mag light, with one on the end of like duct tape to the end of it.
Nice
duct tape. Like I don't know, man.
Sanitary.
Yeah.
It's
sure.
Yeah, it's wild.
So that sounds fun.
That was the craziest one.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm really glad.
I can't show this on TV, but this was found at a friend's Airbnb.
Wow,
that's a whole bag of stuff.
That's a whole bag of stuff with a double donger.
Ted,
that's a lot of things.
There's a lot of things.
I don't even know what I've seen any of those before.
Get that away from me.
There's suction cups.
Okay, all right. Moving on. I am sorry I even asked. Okay, so all right, you were doing this as a W-2 employee.
Yeah.
Medical recruiting. Mm-hmm. You were in that for quite a while.
Yeah. I was in that really up until like a month and a half ago.
And
W-2.
What happened?
So I actually I got laid off from a company that I'd been at for 8 years, which It caught me off guard. Don't get me wrong, but I kind of saw some of the writing on the wall. The company I worked for when I first started working there was like owned locally, and those guys had sold to private equity about 3 or 4 years ago. And at first, the private equity company was happy, but like if you know anything about medical staffing, it was obviously great during COVID.
Sure,
and it's really fallen pretty heavy. And so they fired the entire C-suite, and then just started getting rid of the management team. And so myself, and it was the first one we had done. It's been pretty big in the industry for like layoffs to happen, but it was myself and like 36 other people.
Wow.
One random like Tuesday. So I kind of had seen it written on the wall, but I just didn't, you just didn't expect it to be you.
Funny, a good friend of mine, he had a medical staffing company here in town.
Oh yeah.
Saw the writing before it happened, and then went to try to sell. And at the time they had like a $350 million valuation.
Yeah.
And he still got bought out really good when he did go, but he's like, I was told the partners, like, let's sell.
Yeah.
He's like, this isn't going to keep going.
Yeah.
Since the government's not going to fund this, And he wanted to take that big payoff potential that they had. And so going from that massive number down to another big number, but not even. And I'm not going to mention the numbers, but he still came out really pretty of it. But I think they had 300 and something staff members at that point. And then now they're a work from home business.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I may know which one you're talking about. Yeah, I think the owners that had started ours were similar. They saw like where it was potentially going to head, and they sold. And now I think private equity is like just trying to scramble. I made the joke to a few of my coworkers when I was working there that like to me it feels like we're a bad flip. Like where you have one, you're just like, it's going to be every time you turn a corner, there's another expense you didn't expect. It's not going to make you any money, and you just like don't even want to deal with it. You just want it gone.
How does a private equity company not know what's going to happen in that industry where they have obscene amount of money versus the local owner of a company that can see it? I mean that there is insane. If you're going to put that type of money out, how do you not investigate it and talk to other professionals? And I mean, what a flip!
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it's more of like you can't see the forest through the trees. A lot of those PE companies like that, they have quants and people that work in just look at spreadsheets all day, and they analyze all the numbers and model it out and based on the information they have. But when you look at the big picture, it's easy to hindsight this thing. But like it was a pandemic, right? Lasted, couple of years more or less. I mean, a year really for the worst of it, and then came out. And it's like if you're banking your whole business model on succeeding on that same trajectory as was prevalent during 2020, 2021,
right?
I mean, you're just asking for trouble,
right? Well, and it was a great business before, and it still is. But the problem is whenever, just like when you go buy a rental, like a multifamily, right? If you go lever that with a ton of debt, it's now really tough because you have to debt service. Well, they're in a similar situation. They buy a company and then they pull out and lever debt on it. And now it has to debt service its own debt for the purchase. Well, that doesn't work as well whenever you bought it at, that crazy cap rate, so to speak. And now the income's falling. So that's where I think.
Yeah, you're right. And not to mention the fact that, competition really spiked up during that time too. So there were a lot of medical recruiting, people that didn't exist before that were, so you have all this competition. It's kind of like, Texas in multifamily development over the last several years. Like everybody wanted to go to Texas because all these people are moving there. So guess what? All the developers started cranking out multifamily, and then guess what? Like a lot of competition, a lot of lowered margins, a lot of pro formas that look like garbage now in hindsight. And it's like, I think that's the P&E trap.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk about one of your other businesses. Now you have it's Concrete Delivered, is that what it's called? How did you get involved in that? And what is it?
Yeah, so Concrete Delivered, we are a ready mix company here locally, and how we kind of got that started. So flipping was first, and then I had actually got a really odd chance to buy some like light industrial property, like contractor bays, with a guy that I had worked with. His name's Scott. I'm 30. He's like 65. He's one of my best buddies. He was in my wedding.
Cool.
Yeah. I worked with him when I was in college.
It's like Owen and I.
Yeah. There you go.
That's the old one.
I worked with him when I was in college at a company called Workman Precast at the time. And he and I were really good buddies. And he's like, hey, I have this crazy off market opportunity. He kind of jokingly said it. And I was like, no, that's a deal. Let's buy that. So I bought that with him. And that kind of leads us into it was like 2023, and I was listening to Bigger Pockets again, right? Bigger Pockets has done a lot of things for me. I listened to it and I heard Cody Sanchez on Bigger Pockets, which is the gal that talks a lot about like buying boring businesses. And I'm like, that sounds really interesting. It was just a whole new concept. Again, like the first time I kind of heard about the idea of real estate. And so buying a boring business, and I'm like, okay, well, what does that look like? So I did what everybody does. Kind of like when you first get into real estate, you go hop on the market and see what's out there. Well, I hopped into, and the reason for that is it's really tough. I mean, returns on, multifamily and, single families and like things like that. It's really tough to make like one BRRRR or like, cash on cash look really great. It's certainly still able to be done, but it wasn't maybe like it was where the 2% rule is definitely not kicking off right now, like things like that. So I went on Biz by Sell and I was looking at a company that did flat work, and I knew nothing about flat work. I knew nothing about concrete really. And so I went there and I brought my business partner, the guy Scott, because he's been in precast concrete for 40 years. And then I brought the guy that did all the flat work at my commercial building that we had built. We built a ground up like 12,000 square foot building on that same property that we had the other one. And I got them together and I was like, hey guys, do the numbers make sense on this? And we looked and like the numbers didn't make sense on it because it was a deal on Biz by Sell. But out of that came, well, we should start a batch plant. I didn't know what that was. Well, 8 months later, a bunch of headaches. We had a ready mix company.
Okay.
So, yeah. And so that company started in 2023 or August of 2023. Not a great time to start a ready mix company in Nebraska. Just a heads up. Concrete,
but it is now.
Concrete doesn't sell good in December. But it's been great. A lot of like learning experiences, but now that business has like 7 or 8 guys and it pretty much runs autonomously, not autonomously, but my day-to-day input's pretty low, which is really, really awesome. And I was able to do that still while working the W-2 job.
So you became private equity pretty much.
Yeah, sure. Without all the money. Yeah. No, I guess. Yeah. We started it though. We didn't buy it.
Okay.
So we started that from scratch.
So you looked at one, numbers didn't make sense. You said, we don't need to buy an existing one and overpay for it. Why don't we just do what we have learned through the process and make our own?
Kind of. We were looking at a company that does like the labor of like concrete flat work.
Yep.
And what we ended up building was a company that like manufactures and delivers concrete.
Okay.
So a little bit of a different customer base. My customers
less headache, I would imagine.
Yeah, probably.
Or different kinds of headaches.
Different headaches, yeah. But also all of my customers are contractors, which is really great because it's not a recurring revenue model per se, but those guys go out and get all the work, and then they use me as long as I do a good job treating them well, those types of things.
Do you service more the rural area or the city?
We do a lot of Omaha, okay. But I also stay pretty far south. The cool thing about the concrete delivered business is that it's pretty high barrier to entry. It takes like a lot of really navigating. We had lawyers. It's not easy to get like a concrete plan, right? And so there's really only like 3 or 4 players in town in Omaha, and they're all massive. There's CRH Ready Mix, there's Platte River, and then there's Concrete Supply, and those guys are all huge.
Yeah, you said one of them had an EBIT of $1 billion. Is that
probably?
Yeah, right
yeah, probably close to that.
And I just saw a brand new one go up underneath the 24th Street Bridge.
You saw what?
In South Omaha, there's a newer facility right there underneath the 24th Street Bridge.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like a full factory there.
It might be interesting. Yeah. I wonder which one that is. I'm not familiar.
It was like vacant railroad land.
I think Verana bought that and started concrete crushing.
Okay.
Is that right? Or Hawkins maybe?
No, no, it's not. It's
they're
filling up the cement trucks.
Huh. That's news to me.
Yeah.
You know more than me.
Because there's a vacant, I don't know, like 10-story building down there.
Oh, really?
And it's attached to some old factories and it's abandoned for as long as I ever remember, even lived down there. And I always thought, my God, why didn't somebody make apartments out of this building?
Yeah.
And then this started going up next to it because I thought originally that something was going to get built cool there, and it wasn't.
Yeah, they're not pretty.
I have a question for mainly you, Dalton, but if you want to chime in here, Ted, too. So it seems like we get a lot of black swan events that have happened in the last couple of decades, right? So the pandemic probably being the most notable one, but it's easy for us to armchair quarterback this or Monday morning quarterback and say, oh, now that the dust is settled, here's what you should have done or what I would have done. So if a flood happens in 2011 and 2019 in the neck of the woods that we're in, the Missouri River flooded and it basically covered a bunch of highways and roadways that were made out of concrete for a long time.
Yeah.
And caused a lot of damage and so forth. So I remember a lot of sections of highway and stuff had to get replaced during that time. There were dumpsters just by the truckload, just constantly going in and out of there. What's your move if you knew right now that a huge flood or something like that was going to happen next year? What could you do to prepare for something like that that would differ from where your day-to-day operations are?
So, oftentimes with the business, you talk about like, are you supply constrained or are you demand constrained?
Yes.
And different businesses are more easily scalable from like a capital perspective. If I'm selling shoes online, drop shipping, I'm almost always, demand constrained because the more shoes shoes are shoes and you can kind of just get them. Well, the problem that I run into with the concrete business is that I can potentially go drum up a bunch of demand, but I only have so many trucks to deliver concrete throughout the day, right? And so I have this like odd blend where like I need my trucks to be running all day, but everybody also kind of wants to go at the same times. All the contractors want concrete at the same times. Nobody wants to be pouring concrete at 3 at the heat of the day, right? But I also have guys there at 3 in the heat of the day. So like I kind of need them to be producing. And so it's a little bit of a unique blend. And so right now I don't want to say we're supply constrained, but for me to grow exponentially, I would have to go buy a lot more equipment.
Okay.
So if I knew that was coming and I knew that I could get a contract with one of those big contractors that was getting it or even be in the ballpark, I would probably try to set up another plant so that I had capacity and buy more trucks to fulfill.
I was listening to this Jordan Harbinger interview, and they were talking about sand shortages. Are we dealing with that here in the Midwest?
One of the really nice things about being in Louisville is that all of my aggregates, so concrete's made up of 3 things. It's Portland cement, it is 47B sand, and then it's 47B limestone. Well, Portland is made at Ash Grove in Louisville. Like if you're in like Western Nebraska, it comes in on rail. Okay. So it's expensive because you have to truck it and it's not light. Same with like limestone in Western Nebraska. They don't have a lot of limestone. So their concrete almost has no limestone, which means in theory, it's quite a bit less strong. But fortunately where we are, we're down by the river. And so sand is getting pumped out constantly, those sand pits down there. So for me, I haven't run into a huge issue with either of those things. But during COVID, like Portland shortages were massive. People couldn't get concrete.
Wow. And then, so you get discount rate because you're right next to the factory.
I truck for a lot cheaper. Yeah. Which is great. We actually haul a lot of our own aggregate because it's 2 miles away.
Yeah.
So
it's funny when we started this interview, I thought that's the place that you owned.
If I owned that, I don't know that I'd probably be in Hawaii.
You wouldn't be doing
loans. I wouldn't be doing loans. I probably wouldn't be doing any of it. I'd probably be sitting on Maui.
First they asked, and I'm like, this place is huge. Like if he owns that, why is he doing loans?
He said that right before you walked in. I was like, I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Now we had, so again, at the Real Luncheon today, we had this conversation going about if you didn't have money constraints and you could do whatever you want. So there's, kind of the selfish and selfless versions of what that looks like.
Yeah.
If money wasn't a concern, would you be doing your day-to-day? Neil, hit pause here. But do you think you'd be would you be involved in any of the businesses you have right now if you didn't need them to make you money?
Good question. Really good question. I heard this a while back on some sort of Booker podcast, of course. And it was like the idea of retirement doesn't really resonate with me. I don't sit very well. My wife and I got to go to Mexico like 3 years ago for the first time ever. And I sat down and we both kind of sat there and I'm sitting there on the beach. I'm like, okay, cool. This is nice and relaxing. Like, what do we do? Like, oh, yeah. I like the idea of living my perfect day. Every day.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Like that's what I'm seeking or striving to get closer to. And so for me, that looks something like, get up, either do jujitsu or go to the gym, maybe come home, take the kids to school, and then go work for like 3 to 4 hours. And then maybe come home, hang out, with the wife, grab lunch, pick up the kids, hang out with them for the evening.
Okay.
That would be like my perfect day. But there's never an instance in there where working is not part of it. I think as men, it's important that we're building or like have purpose.
Sense of purpose.
Yeah. I actually, I'm a big fan of a book called Wild at Heart. And in that book, he talks about like God gave us 3 innate drives. And that is 1, a beauty to rescue. So, that's pretty self-explanatory. A battle to fight and an adventure to live. And so it's like a battle to fight is typically what we do with work, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's our battle to fight. And if that's not there, the other two things that could be there, but you're still going to feel like you're missing something. Where I am at right this second, and it's funny you say this, I actually made like a Facebook post about this the other day. I was like, I feel like I've been delaying the adventure to live for a while. I've just been head down, nose to the grindstone for like 10 years, which I'm 30. It's not like I'm not like,
You're an old soul.
I'm not whining about the fact that I've been working my life away, but
10 years, man.
Yeah.
Time to hang it up.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to be more intentional about the adventure to live component. So would I be doing the things that I'm doing? Yes, I think so. I'm really enjoying working with Angela and Neil to build Aspire Mortgage. Like that's a blast to me. We're having a good time building systems and guardrails and getting some things going. And then the concrete, like I said, the concrete and the precast kind of run by themselves, which is really neat. I've got great guys at both of them. I've got my partner Scott down there. I've got a few other partners, but my partner Scott, I'd like to see him to be able to retire, slow it down a little bit, and we're working towards that because he also likes to work, but he's 65. I'd like to see him be able to work when he wants.
Sure.
Thing. So, but yeah, I would still be doing all the things, but I think maybe my day to day would look different. Is that I wouldn't maybe be in here doing as much sales, so to speak, but more just straight high level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe not have so many businesses and focus on one business.
Yeah. I feel very convicted on that often. Every time Alex Hormozy's talking about it in his podcast, well, why do you have 3 things? I'm like, I don't have a great answer, but at some point the reality is I do have to have money to live, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in the position yet, hopefully, where things kick off enough cash flow where I can just live my life. So I still have to generate active income. And so that's what I got to do for now. So hopefully though, one of these days, those businesses are kicking off enough passive that I can exist,
Because I can tell you right now that I would not have all these little things going on. I would have passive investments into things and maybe my one thing that I really want to focus on and not worry about anything else.
Yeah.
I think the problem though is, and you see this a lot with people that start a business and are especially real estate investors, we seem to have a lot of ADHD and a lot of FOMO with things. And you get approached, when you're in real estate, that touches not just residential, but if you're in the commercial world, it touches all different kinds of businesses too. So just as a byproduct of that, you're meeting with a business owner to talk about buying the building, but they're like, hey, do you want to own a ready mix concrete, delivery business?
Yeah.
They're like, well, not really, but tell me more.
Yeah.
And then you get into it and you're like, this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
This might be cool. And this could kick off a ton of money. And then you get excited and then you learn it. And then you're like, oh my God, that was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you have your first kid, God, I think makes you forget what the pregnancy was like and the stress that you went through, and a year or two go by and you're like, oh, we should do that. Look at how cute our baby is. Let's have another one.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, this is terrible. The whole process.
Yeah. 100%.
But so I think there's a little bit of that too. You have selective amnesia and then you've got, FOMO and ADHD and boil it all together and you got a real estate investor.
We had really, really rough pregnancies. So my wife did not forget it all.
No, she's I'm out.
She was like 3, maybe 5. No, I'm okay with 2.
Yeah. Sorry, Skylar. No baby sister for you.
I will say though, the concrete and the precast company are both pretty integrated. The concrete company supplies concrete for the precast company.
Yeah.
Those guys work together a lot. Separately employed, but they work together a lot. So those two work pretty well, but they're also not I think it's something like 94% of businesses never cross the threshold of $1 million in revenue.
Is that right? Wow.
It's pretty crazy.
You might
need to fact check me on it, but I'm pretty sure it's 94%.
I don't know that at all. There's so many businesses out there and so many LLCs that nobody ever does anything with.
Yeah.
I bet that's totally
and then
true.
only 3% exceed 5 million. Or something crazy small. And so those two businesses kind of together will be close to 7. So they're not super small, but yeah, I think if I was to spend all of my time focusing, they could probably grow bigger, better, faster. But yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about your flipping business, Beard Bros Build Company. And we've talked about your ready mix concrete delivered. Your other concrete business, which is called
Precast Solutions.
Yep.
We bought that one.
Oh, got it.
That was the one that I worked at in college.
Was that Biz Buy Sell?
That was not. No,
Okay.
It was the business I worked at.
Direct to seller.
Yeah.
Actually, side question on that. Did you work out any seller financing?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty common in owner-held businesses like that. What?
Right.
How did you work the deal out with him? He knew you, obviously, or
I did know
she knew
him.
you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It was a long time coming because I'd kind of been pursuing him for a long time about buying it, even though I had no idea what that looked like.
Yeah.
Right. And I also just like, everybody has their ideas of how you value a business, but like what the owner has in mind is totally dramatically different than how you would like traditionally value a business. Right. And so he had a number in mind. I don't really know how he got there. And have you ever read the book, Never Split the Difference?
Yeah.
Great book.
Yeah. I kept just kind of being like, yeah, the bank just won't let me do that. And then he would negotiate against himself again. And I'd be like, yeah, the bank, but truly the bank just wouldn't let me do that. So
I have DSCR, bro. What do you want me to do?
Yeah. It was like, the bank won't let me do that. I don't know what to tell you. So I was able to.
I reread that book, listened to that book twice this year alone.
Really?
Yes. It's my go-to go back and reread book.
Yeah. Every time I listen to it and they're like mirroring, I'm like, why am I not doing this more?
We reached out to Chris Voss, even through a connection.
Why aren't you doing this more?
Right. Exactly.
And
exactly.
we're like, we got to get Chris Voss on. We got to get Chris Voss. He's an Iowa guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then his response back was, I only get on podcasts that I listen to.
You should have sent him a link and been like, here,
Yeah.
it's a great time to start or something like that.
It was through Michael Kramer.
Oh, got you.
And because Michael and him wrote the book together.
Mm-hmm.
And that, so I didn't have a chance to recite my book, his rules back to him.
Gotcha.
So what do you mean?
Yeah. Let's negotiate here.
So we've talked about basically the search for kind of scratching the itch of having a sense of purpose and doing battle, I think is how you put it before.
Yeah. Battle to fight, adventure to live, beauty to rescue.
So during that time, it looks like, based on my notes here, that you may have battled a 15% interest rate on a 12-plex you invested in that maybe didn't go according to plan.
Yeah.
And we could probably post-date this as today's
Failing forward.
You want to talk about this? I have a sense that you don't really want to talk about it, but let's talk about
and
it.
I'm sure there's a lesson that came out of this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't. Yeah, the lesson. Yes, there's some lessons, I think. So
12-plex.
Yeah.
Timestamp it for us. When was this?
This would have been 3 years ago.
Okay.
So like it was early 2023. That makes sense, right? Because market kind of got like real rough, like mid to late 2023.
Thanks, Russia.
Yeah. So we had a friend of ours approach us with this deal that was a 12 unit and it was in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to be like a 23 or 26% IRR. We were supposed to put down, I think it was like 140 grand cash. And then we were going to cash out refi in like 6 months. Got our cash back. It wasn't going to cash flow amazing. It was on like 25 or 30 year debt. So that's good. At least it's on 30 year debt fixed, but it wasn't going to cash flow amazing. But like, hey, we were going to have a great tax loss. We were going to have all of our money back and a free asset, like the greatest. Yeah. Infinite return.
Yep.
That did not happen. So we didn't have any cash because all like that time, it was one of those times I think it was early spring.
Yep.
When we had it all invested in
all the flips are on the market waiting for them to close.
Yeah.
All your money's tied up in them.
Yep. So we're like, well, we're going to get it back in 6 months. We can afford 15% for an interest rate. And so we took it to a guy we've borrowed money from personally a few times. He didn't even ask for 15. I don't even know why we threw 15 out there, but we threw 15 out there and we're like, hey, we need 140 grand at 15%. We'll do it on a 3-year promissory note. We'll probably have it back in 6 months.
No points.
No points. Mm. Yeah. And we've borrowed money from this guy before. So he knows we'll pay him, So,
track record.
And he's not like a hard money lender formally. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like somebody we know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we borrowed it and 6 months went by and we are not cash out refinancing it. And then another 6 months go by and rates are through the roof. And it's like, we can't even afford to cash out refi it at this point.
You're like, at this point, we might as well just keep the 15%.
Right.
If he'll re-amortize it or recast it.
Yeah. So we,
I didn't know where rates were going to stop. I mean, they hit like 9 at one point and I was like, oh boy, I got debt resetting in the next, few months. And that was some tenuous
sleepless
times.
Nights. Yeah. And that's wild to hear that from like an operator of your scale, right? Because you just like assume that like one day it won't be as stressful.
Yeah, no, it
just is always stressful.
You're 21 years from now, you will be thinking exactly the same thing.
Same stress, different zeros.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably more to be honest. Yeah. And so 3 years went by. I think we got capital called like 2 or 3 times. We put up like another 25 or 30 grand. And we owed like 200 and I can still remember the check amount. It was like $206,000. that we had to write to our investor 3 years later. And so essentially we flipped for free for the last year. Like almost all
your profits,
almost all of our profits went straight into paying back that loan, but we did it. Right.
What did you miss? So when you were underwriting that deal originally, that penciled out, you said, hey, 15%, we can float that for 6 months. No big deal. We'll just do we'll burr this thing when we're done with what we're going to do with it. What happened? I mean, other than the huge interest rate, adjustments.
Well, to be frank, I think I got a little overconfident. Maybe in the operator, but at the same time, I just got a little over cocky with like what I had done, I think, because I still haven't even ever seen this building personally. And it's like 40 minutes from my house, I think, and I don't know Lincoln at all. I don't know anything about Lincoln. So I don't know if it's necessarily a good area or a bad area. I mean, I pulled it up on on like maps,
Google Earth,
and it seemed close enough to UNL that I felt good about it. You're
like, there's no chalk outlines in this Google Earth walkthrough. I just
exactly. Yeah, it looks fine. It was a brick building. I like brick. That's cool. So the due diligence that I missed was like doing it. Really, I read I read that it was there. It sounded great. I trusted the person, and I don't think that the person did anything like they didn't do anything necessarily wrong either. It's just you get off on a few little numbers in multiple places, and suddenly that's a big number at the end. That coupled in with obviously the interest rates. So
it is very easy to get complacent about due diligence when it's a hot market. Very easy to do.
You have to feel, touch, and think about it.
Every bad deal. I was thinking about this. It was probably a couple of months ago. I was thinking about all the bad deals that I've done over the years. And I think if I'm really honest with myself, I think I can point all the fingers back at me for lack of due diligence.
Yeah.
I can blame that and that alone on my failures.
But did you look at them all, like physically?
No.
Yeah.
No, yes. Well, that's part of that's what I mean by due diligence. Like looking at it, like understanding what the documents are, understanding the debt and like the time frame, the ARV, and pulling comps and walking it, talking to neighbors, looking at the street, all that stuff. It's important.
I just helped the client sell off a property that they're from Utah and they've never been to Omaha ever.
Oh yeah.
And they had investment properties here.
Wow.
And and
they do well?
Well, they should have.
It
was a management issue. First off, but they didn't know the market. They didn't know where the property was. Like, oh, we got a beautiful house. It's got granite in it. It's completely updated. And I'm like, did you see the neighborhood? And they just didn't know.
Yeah.
And then they had issues with the management company. Long story short, they ended up losing 5 figures on this.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So but I think if they knew what they were buying,
right,
and physically touched that property, they could have definitely changed it for them. And they said, they wrote it off as a learning lesson, but they also didn't have the money to be able to take those types of losses.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's you like you said, Neil and I have made the joke a number of times, like cheaper than college. And that is the thing with real estate
sometimes
or any that one
you hope
that one probably wasn't.
You hope it's cheaper. College.
Yeah,
depends on which college, I guess.
The saving grace for us on this one is like if we just hold it long enough, maybe one of these days it'll actually But
man, that sucks. I have totally been there.
But like I said, we paid it off. We kind of like did our dues. That debt's gone. We now own the asset. We don't owe anything as long as it doesn't capital call anymore. It's kind of like, maybe out of sight, out of mind's a bad thing to say, but like hopefully one day I forget about it and 10 years later, it's like worth a bunch of money. So
I take it you guys obviously have a third party manager in Lincoln that handles all the day-to-day stuff. Yeah. Now I do want to, I have to ask you this because you mentioned this totally in passing right when you walked in here and we were just kind of, talking about stuff. You mentioned you have or do gold mining or gold, panning for gold. Like what is this?
Yeah.
You're an actual like gold miner.
Well, I on
an amateur
level. Like a very fun, like,
is this based on Gold Rush? You watched too many Gold Rush episodes?
Before actually. So, have you guys ever watched Gold Rush Whitewater?
Yes.
The one where they dredge?
The rivers.
Yeah, in the rivers. Okay.
I've seen the ones in Alaska. I don't remember what they're called, but
that one's
the original.
The one in Nome. Where they like they dredge under the ocean?
Yes.
Bering Sea Gold.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've seen some of that.
With the dredge.
My wife makes so much fun of me for watching these shows. Yes.
My wife hates it. I'll like lay down. That's like the one thing that I like to do is like 9 o'clock. I want to just sit down and watch either a dumb car show
Discovery
or like
Channel.
Discovery. Yeah. And that's how I know I'm old. So, 10.
You're an old soul, man.
And so a good buddy of mine, his dad's been doing this up in Northern California. He's owned gold claims up there in the Sierras it's like an hour and a half outside of Tahoe. And he's owned gold claims up there for a long time. And so I got invited up when I was in college to go with them. And it's like you get up there to this little town called Sierra City. It's like, middle of nowhere. It's along the PCT Trail, which is like the Pacific Coast Trail, where they start like somewhere down like maybe in Mexico and then go all the way up to Canada. It's a hike. And so the first year we go up there, the road is like a donkey trail that you have to take like with side-by-sides now. It's a lot easier than it was. But like when we first started going up there, it was like a lifted 4Runner.
Oh, I thought you were actually going to have to ride a donkey. That would
no. But the trails are just, like there's points where you're going around curves and you do like all you see over the hood is cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the first time I went up there. And
thanks.
I'm riding up there with this old Vietnam vet. He was a sniper in Vietnam and we are smoking through this, like just flying. And he's just looking back and talking to me. And I'm like, you focus on that. So it's a wild, but the cool thing is it's like up in the middle of nowhere. You don't have cell service, which is amazing. I mean, like your phone truly just doesn't work. It's not like, I shut my phone off. It's like, it doesn't work. So like, hey babe, sorry, like phone's not going to work for a week. It is such a good reset. You're with a bunch of good dudes. We pack in a bunch of we go to Costco like the day before we go up the mountain because we don't come back down. It takes way too long to get up there. Even from town, it's like an hour and a half trek up to camp. And so, we take a bunch of food. It's, it's a good time. There's a mine shaft that we camp on a tailings pile from an 1800s mine. So you can go way back in the mine and like, it's super cool. And then we dredge for gold and you hike and like, it is the most refreshing, just kind of like you talk about that, like adventure to live. Yeah. That is something I'm super excited to invite my boys into as they're older. It is so sketchy though that I need to wait till they're quite a bit older because my 3-year-old would just jump off a cliff.
He seems like he's in the same camp as the Vietnam vet.
Yeah, he would have a
They're
blast.
probably two peas in a pod.
Yeah.
Did you find some gold?
We find gold every year. It's not like enough to retire. Yeah. It pays for like some of the food, Okay. Yeah. It's more of like a vacation kind of thing.
Like a couple grams.
1 year we found a 3/4 ounce nugget, like the first or second year we were up there.
No kidding.
That's significant.
Yeah. That was back when gold prices were like $1,500 an ounce, not $4,000 an ounce. Yeah. But my buddy's dad used to do it all summer. Like he was like in college era. He would go down there for a full summer, make a career. I think the biggest one he ever found was like 8-ounce nugget or something. It was big. Yeah, very big.
I'd just make a necklace out of that.
Yeah.
Like Flava Flav?
With my nugget hanging.
With his 8, what is that these days? Like
nobody wants to see your nuggets, Ted.
$32,000 of gold.
Yeah. Just hanging from a chain.
Oh, man.
Dalton, I think the energy of this podcast has been absolutely amazing, but we do have some questions that we like to ask every guest. Sometimes we mix it up a little bit just so you know, to keep you on your toes.
Okay.
But this section we famously call the OT with Owen and Ted. And we do have some questions here, and I'll go. You know what? I'll start this one.
Wow, good.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
You're on a roll.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So one thing that I always like to find out about people is what their superpower is.
Okay.
The thing that separates you from everybody else that you know or in your world. What do you think is the thing that you're absolutely best at?
Ooh, that's a tough one. And to try not to make it like a buzzwordy one too. Wow. Yeah, I would say superpower wise. Obviously, we talked about like a lot of things that I've done. I would say just winging it and figuring it out. Like I am often feeling like I'm flying by the seat of my pants, but we get it done. And so, I would throw that out there.
So winging it with success.
Yes. Yeah, with style.
So if I got an issue and I'm throwing it at you and you're able to just think right off top toes, you're like, this is exactly what it is. I can feel confident and come up with a decision right then and there.
Yeah, typically.
Yeah.
Quick to decide that or having a guy.
Yeah.
Because I've been in all these different worlds, everybody always calls me like, hey, I need a guy for this. I might actually make it that.
I tried buying a website called IGotAGuy.com.
Yeah. Oh, did you?
And I had a builder and everything. And the site name got taken thereafter. But I had a whole idea and template for a website before we got into real estate.
Yeah.
That's funny. I would agree with you on what you're saying about yourself because like having a network of endless referrals for people is something that I think you don't naturally set out to do. You're just good at it. and you're way better than somebody else. That's why, you're a super connector, right?
Yeah, I like to think that. And just being in like so many different spaces has required me to go find that person. And so now when somebody needs it, I've got a guy for it.
So here's a question for both of you. I want to hear what your answer is. This is not part of our normal set, but when you meet somebody random or you get a referral to somebody random that you either need or ask them for, or maybe you just met them, how do you store them in your phone so that you have any idea who they are about 6 months from when the time you put them in there?
It's funny you asked that because I have a few notes in my phone, like diesel tuner guy, or like just like some random ones. I try to be organized, like I'll try to like put the business that it's associated with or something like that. And almost never can I remember their dang name, but I can always be like diesel tuner guy into contacts and it comes up.
Yep.
What I started doing, I like that, and I do something similar in that. And my phone, I'm a Samsung guy, so I have groups and that you can allocate. So you can name a group, and you can say contractors or HVAC or realtors, all that.
Yeah.
But I started forgetting who referred me to those people or how I even met them.
Yeah.
Because big deal, I have an HVAC person on my phone. Like maybe I just met him, I know nothing about him.
Right.
Or maybe I got a really strong referral from Dalton. This guy kicks ass. He's super cheap. He's really reliable, blah, blah, blah. He's not on meth. Doesn't cross-dress. But if I wanted that
you don't know any of that.
I wouldn't know that.
Matter of fact, you don't know that about Dalton.
So I would not know that. But I started being better about putting notes in on how I heard about them.
Oh, really?
And that helps me later. But I always want to get better at it because I'm sure I learned that from somebody or just my own forgetfulness.
Yeah, the notes is a great idea. Yeah, cross-dresser HVAC guy.
I always put a business name under the business name category if you have an iPhone, and then on the notes I'll start writing all the stuff. So some people will have multiple notes, like maybe it's I'll put in RIA if I know him for the RIA, but then I'll put other things on there like. We're really big dorks, and there's a whole bunch of us that play Risk once every couple of months, like a Sunday night Risk game,
like the board game.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. So I'll put Risk in the notes, and if we had looking for players, I'll just type Risk, and all the Risk players will come up.
Yeah.
But also,
you have trouble getting guys to show up to Risk?
Not at all. But we also like have before I got married in my single days, I'd have to notate where I met each girl I met
because there's so many.
And the notes like, hey, I met you at this place and at this bar, just so because there would be 50 million Jennies
there's
out there.
So many of them in my phone.
I married one. Yeah, there are a lot of Jennifers. No, that's good. So one thing we didn't really talk about much is family life for you. How long have you been married now?
5 years.
5 years. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And you have 2 kids. When you're looking at, I'm running 2 different concrete related businesses. I am doing mortgage loans now. I operate a flipping business. What's that look like at home? How do you organize your life there? And you mentioned you met your wife originally at the staffing company you worked at. Is she still there?
No. So my wife, speaking of real estate, she's an agent in Omaha. Mm-hmm. She was actually one of the top 1.5% agents in the entire country in the last year, which is remarkable.
What's her name?
Chloe Daeges. She's Better Homes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She was on Real Producers.
Yeah.
And she's a rock star at what she does. She represents us on all of our flips. And so it's really cool because we both get to be in that world and we get to like work together enough, with the flips, but not like too much.
But
not like too much. Yeah.
Right at the end or the beginning of it.
Yeah. Right at the end. She usually walks into them and then kicks my butt on like, I think it looks great. And she walks through and sends me like 46 pictures.
She has the blue tape.
Yeah. Of all the issues that I got to fix. And I'm always just like, gosh, dang, I really thought I was done.
But I couldn't even imagine my wife being a realtor. It sounds so scary.
Yeah.
With her OCD.
Yeah. Right.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
She'll go through. She'll be like, what's this little dab of paint? And I'm like, hun, if I didn't see it, they won't see it. We'll be fine. It's a dab of paint,
And you're a little bit shorter because it's your spouse.
Yeah.
I know when it comes to business,
100%.
Oh my gosh, it's so much tougher.
Yeah. I do feel convicted on that often because I'm like, I wouldn't be that upset about that normally. So why am I now? Yeah.
I have to do that a lot in my head.
Where you like talk to yourself about?
I'm like, why am I tripping out about this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why am I so sensitive with her on this topic?
Yeah.
Where I would listen to anybody else on this topic.
Yeah. Well, I heard that Ed Milet say that on a podcast once. And he was like, why do we give our spouse like the last 5% that's left at the end of the day? They don't get our best ever. And then you like are telling yourself or them that you love them. And then like, that's what you give them. And that's super convicting because there are definitely days where you're like, I'm exhausted and like you don't have where you give yourself the excuse of not having the mental energy to go like pursue that. You know what I'm saying? And that's fair.
Or it's like, the end of the day, and I'm very guilty of this. Like the end of the day, you're just like, I've been talking all day long. I've been running all day long. I just want to like read a book or like zone out and just kind of, turn your brain off. And then this is a huge stereotype, but like at least in my house, my wife likes to talk about, like what's going on with the kids and the family and stuff. And I'm just like over it by the end of the day. That's a very insightful, I guess, point about that is giving your spouse the last 5%. Do you think it's something to where you have to maybe a check-in during the middle of the day and you're more able to, give more of yourself? Is that a good way to do it, do you think? Or do you have this figured out?
I certainly don't have it figured. I'm sitting over here like, you guys give me the answer on this one.
Okay. Hey,
you guys got way more years under your belt. No, I don't know. For me, like my wife was literally just, my neighbor guy came over. We were standing in the driveway talking when she got home the other day. And she's like, yeah, he sits in his truck for like 10 minutes when he gets home. And that's like such like a common, like, whatever the word I'm looking for.
I learned not to pull in the driveway if you're still on a phone call. Cause like for me, my kids will, if they hear the garage door, they're like banging on the window.
Yep.
Dad. I'm like, well, I'm on the phone 1 second.
Yeah.
And then you feel guilty and then you're trying to rush the call and then your eyes affected. Yeah. That's
but if I'm hoping,
but if I'm just like park, do you park down the street? Yeah. What do you do?
Well, I do, but also like my wife freaks out if I'm not home by 5 o'clock on the nose. and it's like, she's like, you are a business owner. You can figure out your schedule.
Yeah.
Your day ends at 5. That's her ask.
Yep.
Unless I'm giving her plenty of heads up to that.
Yep.
And so, I'm pulling in the driveway because I want to prove I'm not late, but I'm still on the phone with the clients.
I live this on a regular basis. Yes, 100%. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel better knowing that nobody has it all figured out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
No.
Small sample size, obviously.
Yeah.
I think it's different though if your spouse is your business partner, which is so often I hear that, and I think there's a lot more potential understanding of the situation when you're physically working the business together.
That's true, and I think there's something to like I'm very guilty of this. I think it's and I think I am worse than probably most people at this of not sharing what's going on with me, especially mentally. Like if I'm really worried about something or something's really stressing me out, and I think I just get quiet and I just stew on it, and I'm thinking through all this, and then I get maybe irritable, and so you know what I mean. That's not good. That's not conducive to a good relationship with anybody.
I feel like you do that with me sometimes.
I do. I know I do. I'm not good. I recognize it, so I'm working on it, Ted.
Well, and I think
couples therapy.
Some of that is like
on the mic.
I don't know if you want to create that level of like not insecurity, but you don't want your wife to feel unconfident about like whether it's producing or providing or whatever it is. There's that like if she knows how big of a house of cards this feels sometimes, that's going to freak her out and she's not going to feel confident. And what's that going to do? And so I think that's oftentimes where I'm like, I'll just not say anything and babe, I got it. It'll all work out. Kind of like, the winging it. It's like
you just verbalized what that is. That is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to worry other people unnecessarily about the spinning out that I'm doing in my head about maybe major problems. Maybe it's just something I'm just worried about for no other reason than I'm worried about it. And yeah, you don't want to worry other people, and that's why you don't share. And I think that's a big thing that guys do, especially. I'm sure, it goes both ways, but that's spot on. I think you don't want them like to absorb your stress because women are very, very good. Or at least I keep saying that it's not women. It's like, I get that how spouses work. People are different, but at least women are generally more empathetic and are very much more feeling about things. And I don't want to freak people out with my trauma that I'm carrying around on a day-to-day basis. So I think maybe that's the reason for it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hey, we'll all get better.
So we don't have an answer. No answer. Sitting in the truck, I also get yelled at, and or my kids running up to the window, which is the greatest thing ever. On like a quick little side note.
My kids are teenagers now, so I don't have that really anymore. They're like, "Sup, Dad? When's dinner?" Or whatever they want from me. But my dog is that way. So I don't want to disappoint my dog now by pulling in the driveway and not making it in the house within the next 30 seconds because he'll be very sad.
That's funny.
If you can sit down and have lunch for 1 hour with anybody in the world that's alive today, that's a leader or business leader, who would it be? And what are you going to talk about?
They are alive today, not living or dead. I listened to I listen to a number of podcasts with like super cool podcasters, but I really think, I'd like to sit with somebody that aligns with, like my worldview, I would say. And so like Ed Milet would be like a really cool one. Mm-hmm. I've listened to his few books. That or Alex Ramosi. He and I worldview wise probably don't line up, but like his stuff, he's very, very tactical in his speech, and he does a really good job describing terms. And to me, that's very fascinating that I'd like to do better. So one of those two guys, just because they've both done exceedingly well, but they also both like keep the other pillars of life to be very important. They stay in shape, they eat well, they like pursue their wives, at least it's seemingly, they've got good businesses. And it's like, you look at some of those guys out there that are the big influencers, and they're really great at one thing. Neil and I were making the joke the other day, like I would not want to be Elon Musk, right? The dude has done incredible. He's got more money than anyone else in the world, but his home life's not great. He doesn't I don't know if he sees any of his kids. He's not, like all those things. And it's like, I'd want to be with somebody that's done a lot of it, like pretty well. So, yeah.
Good answer. Okay. I think one of the last questions we have for you is going to be around legacy. So we talked a lot about in the last few minutes here about life and family and work and bothering your spouse with your problems or not. Mm-hmm. But when it's all said and done and we fast forward a ways until, the end is close for you, what do you hope people are going to say about you? Like what kind of, conversations are going to happen when it comes to, oh, I knew Dalton, like what's the next words out of their mouth?
Well, I hope to be getting as close to this person as possible. Right. And, I don't know. I hope that I am a person that inspired them to do more, but also like help support them in that. Yeah. Somebody that they like felt trusted by, maybe understood by, but at the same time drove them to do more. I just had a conversation with a random guy that I, had met when I was a kid, and he had reached out on Facebook. He was like, "Hey man, it was super inspiring to see this, and this." And I thought that was super cool. I shared that I had been laid off, and I was like a little bit more transparent than I, am typically, but I'm seeking to do better of. And that was super cool. So I'm hopeful that is the case, but also to be frank, like I hope that if my wife and kids are, all still there, I hope that I left them in a position where like they are still telling stories about me later. Like I want them to be 40 and be like, yeah, my dad was super cool. Think back like affectionately and like positively, and not as if like I didn't do something or something like that. Yeah. And back to Ed Milet, I heard him say like he believes when you die, God shows you the man that he created you to be, and his goal is to be as close to that man as he can be. And I hope that, there's a component of that as well. I want to get as close to that man that God created me to be as I can.
Yeah.
And we'll see how we get there.
I think Ed's going to talk at your funeral.
Maybe.
If he's still around. I think you're going to outlast him, but
I think you need to reach out to those guys and see if you can get them on the podcast.
What guys? Alex Ramosi and Ed Milet?
Yeah.
Are you looking at me?
Yeah.
What? Okay.
You should definitely get those guys on the podcast.
Yeah, work on that.
I'm sure they don't have a team of social media managers.
Hey, we got Raymond Turner on. We got Pace Morby on.
I was going to say, you guys got some big names on.
All right. Well, Aiden will work on that.
Just drops in the bucket.
Okay. What are you excited about right now? You had kind of an unexpected career change recently. Mm-hmm. You've got your Beard Bros. You got your couple other businesses. You're 5 years into the marriage. Got a couple kids. Like, what's exciting for Dalton on a day-to-day basis?
That's good. I'm trying to talk my wife into another kid. My 3-year-old is a little like just psychopath, and it is so
just a little psycho.
The other day he was like, "Dad, watch this," and like just back dove off the couch. There was nothing down there. He just landed right on his back. I'm like, "What are you doing?" Yeah. Yesterday he got on his Stasic, and it's a little like electric dirt bike.
Okay.
And I had it turned up for his brother, and I had just put a new fuse in it because they had broken it, of course. And I look over and I see him, and it was set up to like full speed, and it launched out from under him. He lands on his back, pops up, and it's just like, that was great. And so I'm trying to talk my wife into more kids because I think they're so fun.
I don't know that you're necessarily doing a good job about paving the way for this.
He's alive. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. He's fine. He's tough.
We just said the cover, long
3-year-olds in dirt bikes at full speed.
I didn't plan for him to be on
Okay,
at full
all right.
speed. Okay.
Not judging.
Oversight.
I don't have boys. I have girls, so that's different.
We had a 12-hour trip in the car yesterday.
Oh.
And anyway,
Gross.
And as I'm driving, I'm listening to podcasts in my ears because nobody else listens to what I listen to. And they made them mention, they're like talking about kids and all the crazy crap they're doing. Like, I think we're doing pretty good considering, just 100 years ago, your kids couldn't live. It was 50% of kids under 5 died.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, because working on the farm, getting kicked.
That's why they had like 10 of them.
Riding dirt bikes.
Yeah.
And so like we're pretty blessed right now to have our mortality rates, I was down to like 2 or 3% now of under 5. And like but we're also putting helmets on them and doing all this other crazy
helicopter
crap.
parents.
Yeah. It's a whole different game. But I'm just like sitting here, I'm like, can you imagine just like, oh yeah, we'll probably lose half of the litter.
Yeah.
I think that infant mortality rate spiked when Gen X started. Like just the whole latchkey kid thing, no parental oversight. But so anyway,
hey man, it's good to see you around the office. I know that Neil's been talking about you nonstop.
Well, thank you.
It's nice to finally meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
It's cool to have somebody in here that we really don't know anything about and going in completely raw like this.
Yeah.
And of course, besides all the research that Owen put into this,
all the exciting stories.
But we appreciate you. And if people want to reach out to you on social media, is there a platform they can find you?
Yeah, I got made aware that I was old because I don't have Instagram, but I have Facebook, just Dalton Daeges.
So don't tag any of the marketing stuff on Instagram. Is what you're telling me.
Yeah. I won't see it. But yeah, no, feel free to reach out to me. As you mentioned a few times, I'm working with Neil and Angela to really grow this DSCR lending space. We work with investors a lot. And the biggest kind of sell that we make is like, we are investors. We've done this. And so for people that are getting into it or have done only a few deals, we have lots of instances where they'll bring us a deal and we're like, that is not a deal you should maybe be I'm not, your financial advisor, but you probably shouldn't buy that deal. It doesn't look good because we have the experience to do that. And then also a lot of the funding is really great. So in terms of both next steps and where to find me, reach out to me on Facebook and yeah, that's something that I'm looking forward to growing. So.
And I will personally vouch for you guys as well too. You've been great to work with so far.
Awesome.
In my amateur experience in buying as a traditional homeowner. But I will also say, like, anytime anybody asks for a DSCR lender in Omaha, 90% of the time they reference you guys. So you guys do obviously a very good job about servicing your customers and so keep that up.
And not just Omaha. We can lend in like 46 states.
Boom. What states can't you lend in for the people listening?
Oh, you're going to ask
California?
me that? Yeah. California, certainly. It's like California, Arizona, and I want to say Pennsylvania are 3 of them. And then there's like 1 or 2 smaller ones that we're not able to. Obviously, California. A lot of that has to do with like requiring a brick and mortar in state.
We have a large national audience, so that's why. And then the name of your website or
Aspire Mortgage.
Aspire Mortgage.
Yeah.
And AspireMortgage.com.
Yep. AspireMortgage.com. It's aspire-mtg.com.
Okay.
Yep.
So check them out. If you have any questions, you guys sponsor our local RIA, so I do appreciate that too.
Absolutely.
And with that, Owen Dashner, we see us out.
On behalf of Aiden Bear and Ted Kaasch, I'm Owen Dashner and been listening to The Beard Brothers Build Co. and Blaming the Bank for Buying Boring Businesses by Dalton Daeges.
Sign off.